Good morning. It's a nice Sunday morning. We've had a little bit of weather. But what I wanted to do today was something a little bit different. I'm in the process at the moment, you can see all of this right now. I'm in the process at the moment of going through my permanent residency. Now, permanent residency in Philippines, I'm still a little confused at exactly what benefits it gives you. I'm going through the process, but I'm starting to think about it because, as you know, I'm married to Emma. And with being married to Emma, I get something called balikbayan, which means that every time I come to Philippines, I can stay here for 12 months on a balikbayan visa. This means basically I don't need to travel back and forth. Now, normally pre-COVID, we were actually traveling probably once or twice a year. So really this whole idea of extending my visa never actually happened until now with COVID. Now with COVID, I've just had to extend my visa, and every 2 months I'll need to pay around about 2,300 pesos in order to stay in Philippines another 2 months. The initial fee was 5,000, and now I think it's 2,100 or 2,300 to stay an extra couple of months. Now, the benefits of the permanent residency that I can see is that I don't have to do that anymore. I can just stay here as long as I want. I can come and go as I please. But from what I can see, they're the only benefits. So I'm asking you guys out there, what are the benefits of the permanent residency? Does it mean I can work in Philippines? Because one of the things, my wife has this lovely little Unc's House homestay, and technically speaking, I can't help her with the business, so I don't. I'd like to, but basically all I do is I talk to any guests that we have here, but I can't actively work on the business because I can't work in Philippines. Now I'm wondering if having the permanent residency allows me to actually actively work on the business. So that's one thing. Now here's a big deal though, the cost. Now the cost is quite expensive. It's 70,000 pesos all up. So at first you pay 30,000 pesos for your probationary visa, which is kind of like a permanent residency, but you just got to be a good boy for a year. Then after that, you pay another 30,000, and then you've got this lifelong permanent residency, which is not too bad. That's 30,000, and then another 30,000, and then every 5 years you need to pay for your identification card, and that's another 10,000. So we're looking at, for the first 5 years, something like 70,000 pesos, which is nearly $2,000 Australian. If you look at that amount of money, that's around about 6 or 7 years of paying every 2 months anyway, like if you do the math. So in that time, in that 6 or 7 years, and we're hoping that COVID kind of ends very, very soon, I will probably be traveling, and so I don't actually need the permanent residency because I'll be most likely traveling with my wife, so I'll be going back and forth. So it makes you wonder, is the permanent residency a good idea, and what security does it give you? As you know, my beautiful wife Emma, she lived in Australia for 30 years. When on coming back to Philippines, she gained her dual citizenship, and so I can travel with her with no problem. So that's my situation. All right there, that's my situation. So my wife's dual citizen with Australia and Philippines, and so I can come and travel with her. So under this, she can then sponsor me to become a permanent resident. Yay, Emma's here.
Hello.
Hi. So we're talking about permanent residency and the costs and that, and I was talking to Emma about it this morning because I was doing a little bit more research into it, and now we're kind of like, do we really need it?
It's probably not much benefit. What's the difference getting the residency that you have to apply again in 1 year, and the cost is so expensive that we could just use that money to go overseas.
Well, exactly. I mean,
But at the moment we're stuck. We can't go anywhere. But
this is exactly what I'm saying. I mean, it's around about 70,000 pesos all up over the next 12 months just to get that. And then in 5 years, I've got to pay another 10,000, and 5 years after that's 10,000. I mean, that's a pretty damn good holiday, don't you think?
yeah,
Where are we going to go, honey?
nowhere at the moment.
Yeah, well, this is true. This is true.
We can just watch a video about it.
Yeah, but we could drive around Bohol around about 2,000 times on there.
Well, we've seen most of Bohol already.
Yeah, but you like the mountains. You like it up in the mountains, don't you?
Yeah.
Sierra
We
Bologna.
should go talk to the local people, like get into their lives more than
Yeah.
showing this big town.
Yeah, I know. I think that's probably a good idea, and that's directly from her mouth too. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I have a translator.
Yes.
Yeah, because they got dialects, don't they? They have some different dialects.
Yeah, deeper. And also like I get stuck some words now that I don't know.
Yeah. That's cool.
I've been in Australia too long.
Yeah. Oh, come on, you're like so Filipino now. It's not funny. We've been back 2 years, and look at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's incredibly Filipino, so it's not funny. Some of the stuff she does. Anyway.
But I can still swear like an Australian.
Oh yeah, go on.
No. You get censored. And
Yeah, I'll have to put the bleep over it. She swears like a sailor. It's unreal.
Fuck yeah, holiday.
Anyway, back to the permanent residency thing. So, guys, the expats that are watching this, and some of the Filipinos that are watching this, tell us, what do you think is the actual benefits? It doesn't seem that I can own land.
No.
It doesn't seem that I can work based on this, although it does mention that I don't need to get the alien employment card. But does that mean I can work? So it's not clear on this sort of stuff, and I've done a fair bit of research on this.
But where you want to work? You were in retirement
We
already.
We are semi-retired. So why do I want to work? No, but I'd like to, actively help more with Ang's house without the worry of being deported for illegally working in Philippines.
Yeah, we got stuff doing that.
Yeah, we got staff. This is my way of saying it. We got staff. It's all right. I don't know. It's just one of those things you don't want to get caught out. And you're being in a foreign country, you're just not really sure exactly what you can do, and getting the exact right answer to these questions is very difficult.
But you're not actually working. You're just helping me.
Well, yeah, but does that? I mean, I'm not getting any of the economic benefits out of Unc's house, but does that still mean that I'm working here? Because, I mean, what does the term working mean in Philippines? I'm not actively, signing in guests and driving them around and taking the money and then using that money to go and buy drinks or anything like that. I'm not doing that, but...
You gotta do some input. I'm feeding you. You gotta do some work.
I'm retired.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Anyway, guys, just any help would be good. Thank you very much. Bye, honey. Bye. Now, what I wanted to do is just go through the process for me. Here are the steps as I see it. And the first step is really important, your MBI clearance. Now, your MBI clearance is this wonderful blue document. It looks really official. It's a great document. And what that does is the MBI, the National Bureau of Investigation, checks up on you and makes sure that you're not some sort of wanted criminal. You can do this online. You go to the website online, but I found it a little bit confusing to go online and fill in the documents. So I went to the Tagbilaran NBI office, and outside of the office is a young lady that will do it for you for around about 100 pesos. And she's really quick, asks you all the details, fills it all in, gives you the document. You go into the NBI, give them that, pay the money that you need to, and a couple of months later you'll get your NBI clearance document. They take your thumbprints, take a photo of you, and you're pretty much good. Don't forget to take some ID with you. I took my passport, so that was the first one to take along. Once you've got this, you then start filling in forms. Now, it's a good idea to go down to immigration and get this document. Now, all of the documents that I'm talking about, I'm going to leave in the comments below. So you'll be able to click on the link, get all the documents and get all the examples for all of this that I'm doing. And the first one that you really need is to get the checklist. All right. So it's a good idea to get this checklist. Then you can tick through and make sure you've got everything. Now, the first time I went to immigration was in Tagbilaran, but they've since moved here to Penglao. And they've got a lovely office down there. And the girl that we went to wasn't terribly helpful. She kind of gave the checklist, threw a couple of documents at you, and that was about it. So we did our best. And the other day we went back in, and I've got to tell you, it was like a different person. And we're still not sure if it wasn't a different person, But this woman, she went through every document and told us what we needed to do. I walked out of there and looked at Emma and went, was that the same girl? And she's like, I'm not sure, I think so. And I'm like, well, she was so super helpful this time. Don't know what was going on. So going from the checklist, the first document that you're going to actually need, guys, is a document called a joint letter. Now, I have an example below. There's an example that I've gained off the internet, and it's very, very similar to the one that I got. Now, this joint letter needs to be notarized. And the best thing about it is the letter, if you go to a lawyer or somebody like that, a notary, they already know about this letter. So they've probably got a template for one and they just fill in the dots. You need 4 copies of that. They all need to be notarized and signed by the lawyer, the notary republic, whatever you want to call it. You then need to go and get their application form and make sure, here's a little hint, with the application form, it's a CGAF form called CGAF-001-REV 0, revision 0 or revision 1, and you need to fill this in. So a couple of hints with this. The address that you put on your MBI clearance form needs to be the address on every other form. It needs to match. So if you have moved in between, you need to go back and start all of this process again. There's another form that you need to fill in, so be aware of that. This form, this CGAF form, needs to be filled in 4 times. And if you have a middle name like I do, my name is James William, that needs to be on the first line. So it needs to say James William. You don't put the William in the middle where it says middle names. But I don't know why, it's just not the way they do things here. You also need to fill in your alien certificate of registry card application as well. So make sure you've got that one filled in as well, because you're going to get that as well as getting your permanent residency. It's a good idea to have it. There are 2 CGAF forms that you need to fill in, so they're below. Make sure you fill them both in. The next step there is you need to have photocopies of a lot of stuff. Now, you need to photocopy your NBI form. You need to have photocopies of your wife's passport and her birth certificate. You need photocopies of the marriage certificate. And there's actually an application for certificate of marriage. If you get married overseas and then you come into Philippines, you need to actually let the Philippine government know that you're married. So that makes a lot of sense. You also need to take a photocopy of your passport, including the visa stamp when you enter the country. So you need to have those 2 things photocopied. So you need the bio page from the passport and the stamp where you came in. And if you have extended your visa, you need to have a photocopy of that part of the passport. Okay, so if you've gone over time, you need to have that. So looking at this, we've got a few documents that we need to fill out, and the next step is you need 2x2 photos with a white background, and you need 4 of those. All right, so that's pretty clear. So definitely get those. We found it a little bit difficult to find that in Tagbilaran. Not many people were very helpful with that at all. Most of the Photoshops didn't do 2x2 photos with a white background. Go figure, you'd think it would be necessary. But we eventually found some that we'd gotten a while back, and we used those instead. We showed them to the lady and she was like, yep, they'll do. Cool. All right. When we went back, the lady actually gave us a whole bunch of other documents. So there was one called a certification letter. All you need to do is sign it and put the date on it. There's a guarantee letter that needs to be signed by you and your wife, and it also needs to be notarized, and you have 2 copies of that. And then again, the ID card, you need that application complete. And to finish all of this off, you actually need to have 1 brown envelope which will fit all the documents, and 2 white folders. She actually asked for this. She said you need to give us that as the final for the document, for all the documents. So the process seems to be a little bit difficult. And we've got everything done. You can see here I've been through and I've actually got all the paperwork all organized and ready to go. I just need to fill in some of the documents. But the question to you guys, and I know that there are a lot of expats out there that are watching this, and a lot of people that live in the Philippines and maybe outside of the Philippines that may have some of this knowledge. And the question is, what are the benefits? is it worth me doing? Is it something that in the future may secure me being here? And I think that's a really important question when we're looking at this. Is it important for me to get? Because I understand that having ID here in the Philippines, there is a little bit of security by having that ID. One of the things I'm very, very soon able to go to the LTO and get my driver's license, which is going to be awesome. Maybe I can just get my alien residency card and that will be enough to stay here. Because as I've said, coming into Philippines and traveling with my wife, which I most often do, I don't really need any other visa. Technically, I can stay for 12 months. And one thing, as I understand it, is if I don't come in with my wife, I can still go to immigration and get it stamped as balikbayan and still stay here for 12 months. So hopefully, you guys can help me out a little bit. I hope that was clear enough, and I hope the documents, each of the documents that I attach this, will actually help you out as well. Okay, so there's there's a whole bunch of documents that I will have attached to this at the bottom, and you'll be able to download all of the documents. And these are all original documents. I'm not selling them or anything. They're just there to help you. And hopefully you'll be able to follow this video and all of that, and it'll be a little bit clearer for you.